Call the PED meeting to order on November 8th. And first up is approval of the minutes. Oh, we don't have Steve. He is vacationing in Mexico. Lucky him. So Councilmember Lawson, are you good with the minutes?
I'm good with the minutes.
Okay, great. Minutes have been approved. And then our first item up is the oil and gas operations update by Jeffrey Moore. Hi, Jeffrey. And you might be muted.
I am. I'm struggling to get my slides shared, so let me try this again.
It did pop up.
Did it? Okay. All right, let me see if I can go to the slideshow mode.
There you go.
Okay, I have a, does it look okay to everyone?
Yes.
Okay, I have a very odd blinking part of my screen, but we're going to ignore that and move forward. Good morning, everyone. My name is Jeffrey Moore. I'm the manager of the Energy and Environment Division. Pleased to be here this morning in what has become our annual update requested by PED. So let's get started. Our topics today will be similar as in previous years. We'll talk about our staff, our number of wells, and the status, our operators, volumes of production, our permitting, our new website and map, inspections, income, our oil and gas advisory committee, and then we'll talk a little bit about the new environmental initiatives that are part of our division, as well as our new air quality monitoring network, which has reached a critical stage, and we're very excited to share that with you, and then some future initiatives. This is our division, the three of us. Maria Alvarez is our senior planner. She's been here about 1.5 years now. Susan Sherman is our senior inspector. She has joined us in June, and she was previously the state inspector with the oil and gas division for our area. So she has been inspecting our wells for the past 10 years with the state. So we're extraordinarily pleased to have her as part of our team. When I show the slide, I like to say that between the three of us, we have 4 bachelor degrees and 2 master's degrees, and I'm not the one with the master's. So we have a very highly qualified division and staff, and we're very pleased with the work that we're able to do on behalf of the city. All right, so in terms of well status and numbers, you can see the progression there across from the last number of years, and we're at a point now where we have 126 producing wells. 18 wells are in some phase of drilling or completions, mostly completions now. We have 1 shut-in well, and then we have 58 plugged wells. In the future, we estimate approximately another 140 wells to be drilled. That's based on prior approvals in the operator agreement, as well as a new application that we have, which we'll talk about in just a moment. And then, of course, that number could grow in the future as the city annexes new lands or other wells are drilled on the outside of Crestone's acreage. But that's kind of roughly what we expect right now. So where are those wells? Well, they're all in Ward 2. You can see that map on the screen with I-70 in the middle and E-470 on the left. The producing sites are all shown in red. Now, you won't see 126 dots there because each of those sites has multiple wells, if you remember.
Jeff,
the 2 sites.
Oh, sorry.
Yes.
It was just delayed on the screen. Sorry.
Okay. You can see the map now?
Yes.
Great. The 2 sites that are in completions are the Jameso in the blue. Those are shown in green dots right there near I-70. And then the future sites that we know of are in blue. Those are mostly in the north part of Ward 2 toward Denver International Airport, and then a few down to the southeast of Ward 2. Our operators, the primary one is Civitas Resources. They have 2 subsidiaries, Crestone Peak Resources and Axis Exploration. You can see the numbers there of their wells. We also have KP Kaufman Company. They have 1 producing well. GMT Exploration is currently in the permitting phase, and so they'll be added to this list to the future. We put them here now just for transparency's sake. And then the last operator was Painted Pegasus Petroleum. They went bankrupt 2 years ago. That well is now part of the state's orphan well program, and the state will plug that well at their cost and on their timetable. In terms of production, this graph goes back to 2019. The values on the graph are in monthly numbers. Natural gas is shown in red, oil is shown in green, produced water is shown in blue.
Hey, Jeffrey,
you
this
can
is
see-
this is Brad. Your slides aren't advancing. Now,
There.
it takes about 15 seconds from the time you go to next slide for us to see it. So maybe just take a second for the slide to show up on our end before you start talking. That'd be helpful.
Thanks, Brad. Really appreciate that. I'm going to pause and I'm going to share my screen rather than the application, and hopefully that'll resolve the issue. Thanks for letting me know. Okay, there should be a graph now of production.
Yes.
Seeing
Yeah.
that? Okay, great. All right, I apologize for that inconvenience. Production here values currently on a daily basis about 38,000 MCF of natural gas, about 18,000 barrels of oil per day, and about 5,000 barrels of water. We're excited to say that all of the natural gas is going into pipelines. About 90% of the oil is going into pipelines. The produced water is still being trucked, but based on the historic nature of the production in the graph, the water production drops off very quickly. So at the very beginning of a well's life, they produce quite a bit of water, and those numbers drop off with time. All right, our next slide here is on permitting. I'm going to turn it over to Maria Alvarez, and she's going to cover the information here on permitting. And then the next slides will be on our new website and map, and she'll cover those as well. Maria?
Morning, everyone. As Jeffrey mentioned, my name is Maria Alvarez. I'm the senior oil and gas planner for the city. So right now we have 7 applications that have been processed in 2023. 3 of those have been approved, 1 has been withdrawn, and 1 applies to pipeline. This one went through the permitting phase last year and received administrative approval this year, which included crude oil pipeline, natural gas, and of course it was an amendment, which was the JMSO. So with that being said, the application that was withdrawn, that one was King North. That one took place back in April. We recently approved 3 applications, Chico Watkins South, Watkins 30-5, and Lawson Trust back in July. We are currently under review for 3 applications, King South Phase 2, Bijou North, and GMT's Invicta. Something that I want to point out about this slide is that GMT Invicta does not have an operator agreement. This one is going through a whole new phase of being processed through the oil and gas manual. So it comes with a different set of regulations than our regular operator agreements, mostly Crestone. So right now, 2/3 of our applications, the ones that are happening right now, are on the operator agreement. And these are currently, since the slide, all these applications have now moved into second review. We are very proud to be able to say that we have processed 100% of our applications on time within the agreed timeframes of the operator agreement. We have also been involved with the review of pre-application outside of oil and gas, and we've processed 185 of these applications. They've been reviewed, they've received comments, and we've attended meetings. Next slide, please. So here is our website. Our website can be accessed at aurora.gov/oil and gas. There is a well of information. Please don't hesitate to go on there if you want anything from staying connected with the oil and gas updates under the Energy and Environment division. Please go ahead and do that. You can also find news and information, active applications. So the 3 active applications we have on hand right now are listed. When you click on the link, it takes you to Aurora Fort Bay, so you'd be able to see all the files. It has our contact information as well as the oil and gas manual. Again, the GMT Invicta applications being processed through that. our existing operator agreements. And of course, if you'd like to join us, we also have a link to our Oil and Gas Advisory Committee. And speaking of advisory committee, we do have a position open for that. So if you know of anybody in the industry, please go ahead and forward the information. And last but not least, front and center is our map. Our map, as you may or may not be aware, the city of Aurora has over 3,000 layers, from my understanding. 46 of those layers relate to items that we use for our oil and gas map. On this map, you'll be able to find permitting info, inspection reports, and the accurate well site outlines and access roads. And the reason why we did this is because the public was asking for transparency. So in an effort of collaboration with the public, we are providing this information. So I believe that inspection reports go to the start of our division. So some reports date back to 2021.
Very good. Thank you, Maria. Our next topic is inspections, and Wednesday is Susan's big day for inspections out in the field, so she's joining us from the field this morning. Susan, please proceed.
Hello, I'm Susan Sherman, Senior Oil and Gas Inspector for the City of Aurora. I do field inspections for construction, drilling, completions, production, and midstream phases of oil and gas operations. Production and pipeline inspections make up a majority of the inspections, are all done on a quarterly basis, and include checking for security, surface water, groundwater, and air compliance to our best management practices and regulations. A FLIR infrared or IR camera is shown to the right, and it's important that we have the GFX 320 on there because that means that it's intrinsically safe to the site. It's kind of a special camera. So the FLIR camera detects methane and volatile organic emissions from oil and gas equipment. FLIR surveys are done on all production and pipeline inspections, and we're currently working with the state on some of our recent FLIR surveys. Field inspections are also done on reported spills and plugging and abandonments as they occur. The two lighting complaints from the public on the slide were prior to me being with the City of Aurora, but I was a state inspector at the time, went to the locations, worked with the operator, and closed the complaints. Thank you.
Thanks, Susan. And those complaints were actually from operations that were occurring outside the city limits, but they were originated from residents within Aurora. So we certainly follow up with anything that we hear from Aurora residents. All right, moving on. So next is income. It's important to say that our staff is entirely funded by the operator annual inspection fees and permit application fees. The whole division is, and you can see the values there. Our upstream operators, again, Civitas through Crestone Peak Resources and Access, KP Kaufman Company, and then midstream, which refers to pipelines. We have several of those as well. Crestone is the big one, but also Rocky Mountain Midstream and Western Midstream. Royalties. The city does receive royalties based on mineral ownership and production from those minerals. The first two lines here are items that are inside the city limits proper. From Crestone Peak Resources, we've received about $1.7 million in the last 12 months. Leasing bonuses, $300,000, so about $2 million for those two. The second two lines are from properties and minerals that belong to Rural Water. That's areas that they purchased in Weld County for the water rights and the surface use as part of the Prairie Water System. Those came with oil and gas rights, and those have some production associated with them as well, about $1 million in the last 12 months. We also facilitate the Oil and Gas Advisory Committee. We had 6 meetings per year. As Maria said, there's one currently open industry position. If anyone knows someone that would be interested in joining that, it works for an industry operator. And we meet for an hour and a half. In fact, our next meeting is next week, last one of the year. And we answer any questions that the committee has. We make presentations. I'll be making this presentation to that committee next week and make sure that they're up to date on the operations here in the city. Next is our environmental initiatives. So this is a new add to our division. We're very excited about being able to contribute our skills and experience in this way. So we added these late last year, and earlier this year, we began the process of renaming from the Oil and Gas Division to the Energy and Environment Division. That process is more or less complete. We've gone through a number of processes internally through the accounting department, the budget office, and others, and we're working on a press release that we can put out to the public to discuss the update there. We're very pleased to report to Janine Rustad, the director of the planning department. We have a new assistant city attorney, Dave Scott, who is supporting us. He has over 20 years of experience with environmental and oil and gas law. And we're responsible for investigating, remediating sites that may have possible contamination. We're also collecting all of the web pages and reports that the city has created in the past and prioritizing them for future updates. There's been a variety of reports that have occurred in the past. Some of those have been updated as recently as a year or two ago. Some it's been 10 years since we updated. So we're trying to gather that information, understand what is most important to our constituents within the city, our community members, and be able to update those for the future. And we also assist with some of the various recycling efforts that the city is engaged in. Now, one of the big initiatives we've been working on, even when we were just the Oil and Gas Division, is our air quality monitoring network. We are super excited about this. It's the first government-sponsored stations inside the city limits of Aurora. 2 weeks ago, we installed 15 stations throughout the entire city. Those are spread out. I'm going to show you a map and a chart on those in just a minute. We're pleased to say that 2/3 of those are in disproportionately impacted communities. So we're making an effort to make sure we're serving everyone equally within the city. There's at least 2 in every ward. They're all installed on city-owned property for ease of access. They are solar powered, so there's no external connections, and they're cellular connected. And all the data goes to a website, which will be forthcoming and available for free to everyone. We are monitoring the following constituents: particulate matter, which is one of the baseline measurements of air quality in any area, ozone, carbon monoxide, nitrogen oxides, volatile organic compounds, and then a variety of weather data. Here's a chart of all the 15 stations. I won't go through these one by one, but you can see there's a variety of different kinds of sites here. We have one at a siren pole at Park Lane Elementary, several parks and nature centers, recreation centers, a fire station, and of course, Quincy Reservoir and Aurora Reservoir. The map on the screen right now is one that's provided by our vendor, TELUS Sensors, out of Salt Lake City. They are the ones that are responsible for collecting the data from these stations and presenting it on a map. This map's going to be available to everyone in the city for free. You can simply log in and look at the data. There's also going to be a mobile app that'll be available to download for cell phones and other mobile devices that folks can log on and see what is the air quality at their residence, at their place of business or recreation. It's going to be a really big value to add to the city. I would also add that as we've discussed this internally, there's actually a lot of benefit to the internal departments of the city, which we hadn't really counted on or thought about when we originally envisioned this. One of those is the fire department. The fire department actually uses meteorological data such as wind speed and direction, relative humidity in their daily calculations of preparation for work and how many events they think might happen, what's the likelihood of those events spreading, things like that. Previously, they've only received meteorological data from the airports, from Buckley and from Denver International Airport. So they're super excited to be able to have access to this data that's local to the city. It's spread throughout the city, and it's going to really help them in their planning. The park rangers at the reservoirs are really excited as well to be able to present this data to the members of the public that are visiting those particular sites. Here's a couple of pictures from installations. We focus on existing hardware, existing poles, and locations where we could put these. We do have 2 that are on tripods currently, but most of them were on existing infrastructure. And you can see it's basically just a solar panel with a battery and a very small unit that does the measurements. In terms of future initiatives, in 2024, we're expecting to complete our well maintenance and workover easements. We're going to update the oil and gas manual. Mostly that's to account for changes at the state. The state office changed from COGCC to ECMC, which stands for Energy and Carbon Management Commission. So we need to incorporate those changes as well as our own change from Oil and Gas Division to Energy and Environment Division. We're working on creating some informational materials for our website in both English and Spanish. We're going to begin annual soil testing over our plugged wells, and then we're going to complete the search for city property records looking for additional unpaid royalties. I'm very excited to say that since these slides were created 2 weeks ago, we've received confirmation that we'll be receiving an additional $1 million from Crestone in back royalties that will be coming in a check this month. So very excited. That'll add to the chart that I showed you earlier in terms of the royalties that we receive. And that is the end of my presentation. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Councilmember Lawson, do you have any questions?
Yes, I do have a couple, Councilmember Bergan. So Jeffrey, thank you so much for the presentation. One thing I wanted to ask you is, I know, are you going to be keeping up with like some of the legislation stuff? I'm sure with Pfizer coming up, you know, whoever's going to be the chair of that committee, just looking at some of the topics that you brought up, it looks like there may be some things coming up in the legislature. I don't know exactly, but are you going to be kind of keeping track of that and also coming to Pfizer on those issues?
Yes, Councilmember Lawson, I certainly will. I'm
Okay.
on the group that gets to review those as they come through.
Okay,
And so we'll definitely be reviewing anything that comes through the legislature. There's also a number of rulemakings that are occurring, mostly along air quality
okay.
through CDPHE and a few things at ECMC, the Oil and Gas Commission, as well. So I'll certainly be tracking those and seeing if there's an appropriate way that the city should be commenting and bringing those to Pfizer. So
Okay, and then my second question for you is, I know I definitely really like the map. So I know we had talked about that, you were gonna bring that forward and that looks great. What triggers the manual updates? Is it, I know it could be legislative stuff, but what are a few other things that could trigger when, I know we just did the manual, but when is your plan to kind of update the manual?
yes, we
Along
did.
with the oil and with the commission as well, so.
Yes, thank you. The oil and gas manual was passed in July of 2021, and we look at it on an annual basis to see what updates may need to occur.
Okay.
So a couple of things could trigger, as you mentioned, changes in state law or state commission names, which is what's happened with the Oil and Gas Commission becoming the Energy and Carbon Management Commission. So we look for those changes. We also look if there's anything in the process that's not working well. For example, we've got the GMT application that's now coming through as a permitting application, which is the first one that's coming through the oil and gas manual. So as that goes through, we will be watching very carefully to see if there's some part of the process that's not working well, or if there's something that we may have missed in terms of steps or process or information that needs to be included. And we would tag those types of things for update at the next opportunity to update.
Okay, and then my last question, Councilmember Bergan, on the air quality monitoring, I think that this is great that you guys have this and you're going to be having an app. Is there going to be somewhere, do you have a process where if someone does or someone detects something in the air, that it'll be able to get back to the city through the app? And what would be your time frame to check that out, I guess, if there is a serious issue?
Thank you for the question. I'm not familiar with the app yet, so we haven't seen that. And this information that I'm showing you, we haven't even released it to the public yet. It is forthcoming. I should have said the stations were installed 2 weeks ago. They're currently in the QC process. We're making sure that all the data is coming in consistently. All the solar panels are faced the right correct direction, and the data that we're coming in is continuous and everything is correct. Also working on the background connection for that website to the city websites, because we'll have links from the city websites that will go to the website that TELUS is hosting for us. And so all that's still in process, and there's going to be a big communication rollout ideally before the end of the year. So in the next month to say 4 to 6 weeks, we'll be doing some work with communications department to get this rolled out to the community. I haven't seen the app yet, so I don't know the answer to your question, but it's a very important topic in terms of being able to report something. So we'll make sure that there's a way to do that.
Okay, thank you, Jeffrey. And that's all the questions I have, Councilmember.
Thank you, Councilmember Lawson. Yeah, I have a couple, and just on the earlier, you said you had 2 complaints, and those complaints were closed, but they were outside of Aurora. Did you say they were for lighting? I didn't catch that.
That's correct. They were folks that lived inside the city limits of Aurora that were at nighttime were seeing lights from a well site. The well site itself was outside the city limits in unincorporated Arapahoe County. But we did work with those community members to address their concerns. As Susan said, she was a state inspector at the time. She worked with them as well and with the operator to make the changes that could be made in terms of that site. Obviously, when it's 24-hour operations, lighting is essential for safety, for the workers on the site. So they can't turn the lights off at night, but they do make sure that they're downcast as much as possible and address any other complaints that come.
Okay, great. And then on the air quality monitoring, which that's, I also think that's great that we are able to do that. Since most of the well sites are on the eastern side, you said there are 2 in every ward, right? So I guess it's not just for oil and gas operations. You're monitoring air quality. So what are the other sources, and how do you delineate what emissions are coming from oil and gas versus what emissions are coming from cars or whatever other sources?
Thank you for the question. Yes, it is intended to be a broad-based examination of air quality across the city. So it is not targeting any specific industry or any particular area. There are, like I said, at least 2 sites in each ward. Ward 2 has 4 sites because, of course, Ward 2 geographically is much larger than the other wards. We do have some sites that are out in the oil and gas operations area. We also have a site at Aurora Reservoir, which will be giving us a good baseline in advance of the proposed drilling out at the Lowry Ranch cap to the east of Ward 6. So we have that as well. What we'll be doing is we'll be analyzing the data as it comes in. Volatile organic compounds are the term for the types of compounds that we might see from a variety of different sources. When we see something that looks high, or it's out of line, or it looks concerning, we have a separate device called a SUMA canister that we can take out and set up and take a discrete sample of that air at that location and then send it to a lab for analysis. That gives us a read on, I think, 75, 55, 75. It's a whole bunch of different compounds that are very specific. That's more than the sensors themselves can tell us. So the sensors give us a baseline reading of the volatile organic compounds in total, and then the sample that we could have analyzed at the lab would give us very specific. Those specific constituents would then tell us more information about the source of the contamination. So, for example, we might see benzene, and we might say that that's from vehicle exhaust, or it's from oil and gas operations. We would look at the very specific signature of the air quality, the sample that we're getting, to understand and give us information about the source. And then from there, we could, do additional analysis. We can move these stations around if we need to. They're very much portable. And I hope to add more stations in the future, once we show the value of this system as a whole. So there's opportunity for growth in the future. We're going to keep these stations in place for at least a year, so we get a full seasonal picture of each of these locations. And then from there, we'd be able to look at whether or not they're in a good place. Are they giving us appropriate data? Is there a particular area of the city that we might need to target with more stations, to give us more information in those places?
So since, you're obviously using it as a baseline. So if you see something, let's say more in the central part of Aurora, that is a concern, and then you see it where the oil and gas is also, you would be able to correlate, well, it's not specific to this particular industry because we're seeing it over here as well. And that would give you that data to better analyze, I guess.
Correct. We would look at all the data that we have. And like I said, we could take additional samples to get more detailed, granular data. And all of those things would tell us information about the source, because each source has sort of a little bit of its own signature, in terms of the specific volatile organic compounds that it's releasing. And so there's scientific studies that define all that. So we would use the data to help determine what the source is.
Okay, great. And then my last question, since we just recovered $1 million from Crestone and royalties, how did that get missed? Were they not reporting it to us, or I don't know. That seems like a lot of money that we didn't know about.
It is. And, we found $3 million a year and a half ago from operators that we brought into the city in the same case. Very simply, what happens is an oil and gas operator will sign a lease with a mineral owner, as they do with the city. And then when they begin production, they produce a document called a division order. And it basically delineates the very precise decimal percentage that each owner is going to receive of the production that comes. The owner then has to sign that document to verify that they agree with that percentage and send it back to the operator. Until the owner signs that document, the operator will not pay royalties. They will hold them in a suspense in a bank account until they have that signature in hand.
Okay.
So in this case with Crestone, they were looking for some additional documents from us. Some of those we provided, some of those we pushed back and said, this is your responsibility to provide this information. But we did get it rectified, and then now we're catching up with those royalties. So they were holding on to them, but they weren't paying them to us, monthly. But now they are. That's fixed, and those wells will be in a pay status. So moving forward, we'll be receiving the full royalty on those wells month by month.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much. It was a great presentation. Appreciate it. And
Françoise,
yeah,
this is
oh,
Brad.
go ahead,
Can I
Brad.
just make one brief comment?
yes,
I
please
just want
do.
to
Brad's
give
on
a
the phone, yes.
huge, Brad Pierce, Chair of the Oil and Gas Advisory Committee. I just want to give a huge shout out to Susan and to Maria. They, both of them, and as well as Jeffrey, comes to our Oil and Gas Advisory Committee meetings, and they're just excellent in the work that they do. Very thorough, very detailed. So I just want to say publicly, I appreciate Maria and Susan's work on inspections and permitting. So thanks to everybody for what you do.
Thank you, Brad. That's really important. We're really proud of all the work that you guys are doing and continue to do. So thank you. Okay, number 3B is Aurora, and Janine, are you presenting on that?
Actually, I will just do a quick intro. There are great things going on in Aurora, as you all are very aware. We first have our very own Kim Stewart to talk about the city's efforts of marketing Aurora. Then we'll have some of our partners present.
Wonderful. Hey, Kim.
Good morning. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to visit with you. We're excited to share an update on what we're working on. Of course, we present our full marketing plan early in the spring to the PR Plus committee. So I did provide you a copy in a physical copy in your mailboxes, as well as a recent partnership we did with Modern in Denver, if you can see that. So you've got hard copy materials in your inbox for later to take your time looking at. But we really focus on Aurora being a global community. We represent so much of the world in our community, and that's how we landed on the world in a city for our tagline. And we have a number of ways to use that with various audiences. So next slide, please. Thank you. You can see our goals remain consistent. It's to tell our story in our words. We started our marketing program because we were doing public relations for many years, and headlines do not tell Aurora's story. And so our work is to really be able to fully educate and make people aware about all the great assets in Aurora, the characteristics, our offerings, and to really focus on our local target audiences. That was what research told us we should be doing. And so we do focus on people who love the authentic nature of Aurora's food, arts, and culture. We certainly partner with AEDC, the Chamber on Development, Investors, and Businesses. We know the great assets we have, and we've worked really well with the PD and Janine's team over there on trade materials and booths. We work with realtors. Realtors really set the tone. They help people determine where they want to live. Whether it be new to the market, new to Colorado, and want to look at a different place in the region. So that's a very important group for us to focus on as well. And of course, our own residents, and then the employees of large employers. We have these great employers who have wonderful professionals, and we want them to choose Aurora for their home, not just their employment. And then, of course, outdoor and recreational enthusiasts. Next slide, please. Just a sampling of some of our marketing materials. Light rail or out of home, we focus on. That gets us big exposure. I get lots of feedback on that. The World in a City was an advertisement and it says local zip code, global neighborhoods. I think that speaks to how global Aurora is in its makeup of people. And Global Fest, of course, our signature event that showcases all those wonderful aspects of our community. We do print, we do advertorials, radio, digital ads. We've got a huge list. We do advertise throughout the entire year, and I can get a copy of that list if you're interested. But many publications where thought leaders and innovators are looking for information to try to help them understand our community better. Next slide. Thank you. This is a copy of the international trade brochure that we just updated recently. Min-Soo Song in the Office of International and Immigrant Affairs was traveling to a conference in, I think that was Taipei, and brought that along. So that gets some international attention. But we really understand that investors, developers, businesses, and innovators are really critical to Aurora's future from an economic development standpoint. And so what we've focused on in our messaging, our support of our partners, is why should businesses choose Aurora? Why here? Next slide. And again, the key themes here in our messaging is that we're global and there's opportunity for all in our community, whether it be a mom and pop startup or an entrepreneur from another country, or these big aerospace, defense, bioscience companies that AEDC brings and exposes Aurora to those industries. Next slide. We're connected. That's really important, and something we learned from research is that we understand the opportunity we have. We've got I-70, E-470, we've got rail, we have air, we're closest to the airport. Used to say that we're the closest commute to the world in Aurora because of our proximity. And it's now the third busiest airport. We've got these major intersections of transportation corridors. We have heavy rail, light rail, and working more to constantly improve mobility and connectivity in our neighborhoods. Next slide, please. We're innovative. We understand that about our community. That's a really important thing to share. We do have an online real estate kit that we've put together that realtors can rely on. I don't know if Sunny's still on the call, but she's been a phenomenal partner to us in educating us on all things real estate. And again, Janine's group use this information. We've done some advertising in local real estate relocation guides. I get calls from realtors, and so we're establishing and growing those relationships there. But we really are cutting edge. I know Yuri's going to go next, so I'll let him delve in deep to the details on economic development focus. Next slide. Inviting. Aurora is absolutely an inviting community. That's one thing we've heard repeatedly in our research, is that we're comfortable, we're accessible, and we're inviting. Aurora is really known as a welcoming community. And so that's something that can really set us apart from other areas. And our messaging reinforces that. And we're a full service city, not a lot of cluttered districts to provide the services our residents need. Next slide. We're booming. I think this information, and Julie Patterson might be on the call. She's been really instrumental in supporting the team's work. And again, this is the messaging and some of the imagery from trade booths that have been used at International Shopping Centers Conference, ICSC. And really, we've got room to grow. We're fast and flexible in our development process. We have shared successes that we try to use to illustrate and educate potential business, authentic and diverse. And targeted trends are folks who do business here, their customers are looking for what we have. Next slide, please. And think globally, thrive locally. Again, a theme for us is talking about that. And when we talk about diversity and inclusivity in Aurora, we talk about it's not just the mom and pops that start up these wonderful ethnic restaurants. It's in the research labs at the Fitzsimmons Innovation Community. It's in the hospitals. It's in the research and the patient care that's happening at Anschutz and other medical facilities in Aurora. So it really does permeate our entire community, and we think that's something that Aurora should be known for. Next slide, please. And just a final closing slide. Aurora's community, its innovation, and its opportunity. This is Aurora. So happy to answer any questions. Again, I've provided you a lot more printed material for you to take your time reviewing, but please reach out anytime with questions. Thank you, Janine. Thank you, members of the committee.
Thank you, Kim. Councilmember Lawson, questions?
Yeah, Kim, thank you so much for the presentation. I just had one question. For example, when you go to the, Councilmember Bergan, what's the conference that you always go to? The IC? Yes. Do you have this presentation that has all of this information to give to a business? Because, so they can look at it to see if this is a place that they may want to come, and maybe they're, the people who work there may be enticed to come. Is this available to them? Or just
It
a
is
part of-
in different collateral materials. That trade piece that I mentioned is one that captures a lot of the details, and that is available as a handout. And there was actually a loop video that was provided that our team supported, the crew who were all involved in that ran with a lot of these key points on why to choose Aurora to do business. And
Okay.
so that is available, but absolutely. And if there's ever a more specific niche need, we're happy to produce it. And we can do videos, of course. We can do print materials. It's whatever the need is to suit the audience. So a lot of it is in existence. It can always be reformulated or refreshed as desired by our partners.
Yeah, I would see, like, if I was someone living in another place and I wanted to move my business here, I know that you provide some of the information, but a lot that you provided here, that might be really good to give to a potential employer as they can look at their employees to say, hey, this is the place that we would, you might want to consider. We'll, especially if you're moving people from place to place. So I just was wondering if the whole presentation, but you give little snapshots of.
Yeah, absolutely. And we partner with
That's the only question I
AEDC
have.
frequently. Okay, thank you. And we partner with AEDC frequently. And so whatever materials we have, we are glad to produce. We do everything in-house. And then we can supply them with information. But yes, absolutely. And we'd be glad to share this slideshow, which is a little higher level. We didn't get into all the tactics and last year, our impressions were at about 118 million in all of our efforts. And so we do work with a media buyer, gets us a lot of opportunities that we would not otherwise get, or economy of scale in our advertising work. So, but yes, I think that's terrific. And we absolutely want to sell our community as much as AEDC and Chamber are selling Aurora to businesses. So we'll revisit that and see what else we can produce.
And I know you guys work really hard within the budget that you have. And so I know you mentioned AEDC, and obviously I Visit Aurora. You guys all collaborate in your marketing plan. Is that all pretty well branded together, or do they? Everybody, I know everybody does their own branding, but is there kind of a tie-in?
There is. We just this summer did a photo shoot with Visit Aurora, as a matter of fact. So we want to maximize our dollars. We recognize they come from taxpayers. So wherever we can partner on collateral materials, we do. And certainly I'm on Visit Aurora's board and talk with Bruce frequently as it relates to Visit Aurora. And we were a stakeholder in the work they did recently, and he'll give you a thorough update shortly. So we partner wherever we can to reach the audiences in the most effective way. So absolutely, I think that's really important. And it's nice because in Aurora, we're small enough community in that way that we can all talk with one another. We're not so isolated as maybe other cities might be. So
Exactly.
that's a big benefit for Aurora.
You mentioned bioscience, which is interesting because the Fitzsimmons Innovation Campus, I guess you also probably collaborate with them as well, right? In terms
Absolutely. Yes, with April Giles. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I won't mention the name, but my opponent was in part of his campaign was to bring bioscience to the Anschutz campus. So I was kind of surprised that that person didn't know we actually have an entire bioscience campus. So just making sure that we do market it properly. So
very good. Thank you. Yeah, that's a great reminder. And I think everybody who will present today would have the same reaction to the encouragement for participation and coordination.
And then you mentioned the international trade publication. Can
yes.
we get a copy of that?
Absolutely. It's in your mail, in your inbox, but I can give you quantity.
Okay, great. All right. Well, thank you for the presentation, Kim.
Thanks very much for the opportunity.
Okay, and next we have the award.
If Crystal can advance, we have AEDC up next, which will be followed by the Chamber and then Visit Aurora.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Thank you, Janine. Everybody hear me? Okay, great. I think that those are nods. I can barely see, you're really small. I don't have any slides, but happy to be invited to be a part of this conversation. We have a lot going on as everybody does, and yeah, wanted to highlight a few of those bullet points that you guys are looking at now. Thank you to Janine's team to at least putting that up. So wanted to make sure that everybody was aware of how we work and how we market, aside from all of the other roles we have in terms of helping development and helping attract companies here and creating jobs. So through pitches and people, I'll start there. This is the first up, targeted approach through industry conferences and associations and networking events, and whether it's locally or domestically across the country. We attend handfuls of events throughout the year, and are a partner now with a site selection guild that is comprised of kind of top tier members and folks, consultants that help companies make decisions and choose locations. We have targeted recruitment trips, so part of our lead generation programming is going out to visit companies that we have figured out through a variety of indicators are growing, that need more space, that might want to be in Colorado, and that might make sense to be in Aurora based on our targeted industries and a lot of other factors. So we've been through Arizona, California, Texas, and then Maryland, and the DC area, Louisiana, Florida. I'm trying to remember all of them off the top of my head. North Carolina. So we've traveled to all those places and cities in those states, sometimes multiple cities like California, especially, to knock on businesses' doors and talk to them and have direct conversations with them and teach them about what's going on in Colorado, educate them on what's going on in Aurora and how they could be a good fit here and how they could be successful if they set up another location here or relocated altogether based on what their needs are. So that's been great to do, especially this year, coming out of all the restrictions that we had in the last couple of years, to travel more and more, and we plan to do so in the coming years. And we obviously put on A-List, and that's a great marketing event for us to get people in the room, to get our subliminal messaging across that Aurora is booming, to reiterate what Kim was alluding to. Yeah, we definitely work with her a lot, and her staff on messaging and utilizing what the city's come up with over the years. And we lean on that heavily. We just got 2 boxes of those international brochures delivered that we mail out, that we hand out, that we bring with us to meetings. So we use that a lot. We have other brochures, of course, highlighting the E470 corridor, the 225 corridor, different industries. We lean on the city's GIS system a lot. I think oil and gas folks mentioned that there's 3,000 layers, I think I heard, in those maps, and we definitely utilize at least a few dozen of them, I'll say that. And that's really been helpful to folks as we talk to them. Our channels and our other collateral, site selectors, I mentioned, consultants that we lean on, including engineering firms and legal teams and construction firms. That's our marketing, right? If we can create advocates through other companies, they will then tell Aurora's story as well. Just like Kim alluded to with real estate brokers and other folks. If they know what's going on in Aurora, then that just helps us promote it that much more. Speaking of brokers, part of NAIOP and CREW and all those acronyms that are around here, and that are national firms, and constantly are in contact with those folks because they really are on the forefront of getting leads and understanding what businesses are doing and who's asking what questions. We of course interact with, kind of jumping to our partners there in the ecosystem with associations like the Colorado Space Business Roundtable, the Colorado Bioscience Association, including Fitzsimmons, of course, manufacturers, Edge, a group association of manufacturers, Innosphere, which is in the startup realm, Colorado Companies to Watch is in there too. The World Trade Center is definitely a great partner of ours, talking about foreign direct investment and all of the great things they've been working on. We also lean on utility companies, right? Whether it's Comcast or XL and a few others, those are just the big names here, to understand what they're working on, whether it's renewable energy or 5G services. All of that helps us sell Aurora because we have great partners in utility systems there. So all of that influences also the quality of developers that are attracted to the city. As Councilmember Bergan knows from ICSC, those developers on the retail side of the business are looking for all of those facets to constantly be updated on what's going on and what's working, what's not. And we do the same through industrial commercial developers that are looking for large plots of land to activate. We, just for reference, I think I've said this in other presentations throughout the years, we've come from having 2 or 3 business parks to over 24. That's because of the quality of developers that we've worked to attract through all of these channels, right? And not just us, right? Obviously the city and all of our other partners, to get people to come and invest here, right? And create and set up those districts and set up those business parks. That's all very tied together. Quickly wanted to highlight, Kim and her staff definitely does a great job. Andrea and her staff do a great job in Janine's office. The water department, we have a great relationship with, and help them develop kind of a new framework and matrix to guide large water users in or not into the city. We've worked with a planning manager on some UDO changes and more to come. Again, the GIS folks that I mentioned already. Just wanted to bring up a couple of examples of work we've done with city staff. With the chamber, we always recommend businesses go and reach out to Naomi all the time, and she does the same. We're talking to a company, an energy company that she sent our way just last week. So just another example of how we coordinate and collaborate efforts. With Visit, I think we advertise with them. We obviously are there at their events. Jonathan and I did a podcast for them that they've broadcasted, I think late last year, early this year. So those are just some examples. Same with sister cities and other partners that we've supported and sponsored over the years. The education partners, CCA, Dr. Brownlee is doing an amazing job. We all know that. The new superintendent in APS we've connected with recently and are talking about some strategic initiatives with him. We also work with Metro State, right? They have some advanced manufacturing and aerospace and aviation programs that we need to be always keyed into, include into, and send companies there as well to understand what the 4-year universities are doing in the state, that just being the closest one to our border. CSU Global is a great partner of ours. Pickens Tech, Jonathan sits on an advisory committee there, talking to them about industry connections and what they could be doing to improve their programs. Our other economic development partners, right? Metro Denver, Denver South, AC Rep, the state's office, OEDIT, are great partners in our marketing efforts, and we talk to them on a weekly basis as well as the counties. Both Adams and Arapahoe are great to work with and understand what we're doing. Jump into our rebranding campaign. We're launching that next year. New logo, new website, new data. We're really excited about that. That's been a large work in progress over the last year for us, and that's coming soon. Very eager about that. Just wanted to mention that. A lot of anecdotal stories that will be used to express how successful Aurora has been the last 2 decades. and where we're going over the next 2 decades is just going to be tremendous, in my opinion, if I do say so myself. And then all of this leading to how we get the deals, how we get the jobs, how we get the capital investment, and how we get new tax revenues. So just wanted to tie that all together. As you all are very, very well aware, the thousands of jobs that we help support get into the city are all due to those marketing efforts that we as a team collectively through the city and other partners do. And we're really grateful for all the good businesses moving into Aurora, and we'll continue to and support our tax base to keep doing the good things we're doing. So with that, I'll end and turn it over to the next group.
Next slide, and we're turning it over to Naomi Caldwell of the Aurora Chamber of Commerce. Naomi? I did not check people. We spoke last week.
I don't see her on the list.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, let's jump ahead then to Bruce Dalton and company from Visit Aurora.
Well, good morning, everyone. I have Randy Morit, our VP of Marketing, with us today. And what we thought we would do, we present our annual marketing plan to the city of Aurora at the end of the first quarter every year. And we present that to the PR Plus committee as well. But we thought what we would do is share some of our content with you this morning. So we are going to start out just showing a few videos, and then we'll answer any questions or anything that you have that you want to discuss afterwards. If I can either go off the connections on this page, or I can actually present, share my screen.
We have them teed up.
All right, well, let's do it.
Crystal, you need to share your audio.
I can't get out of either screen. Hold on one second.
You want me to try to share?
Yeah, I'll get out of this one here and then I'll make you a presenter, Bruce. Give me 1 second. All right.
All right. I did get a note that said that there was no audio through that whole presentation. Is that correct?
Correct. But we got the gist.
Sorry about that. Let's try. So that was our new rebrand video. We worked very closely with MMGY Global, an organization over the last year, really interviewing people throughout Aurora. I think they did a total of like 2,500 different interviews and listening sessions, and really worked closely with them. We just had our annual meeting last week where we presented this video as well as a number of others. I'm going to try one more video, and hopefully the sound will be on this. But we've been creating more video this year than ever before. Video is really where social is headed, and people are really focused on watching videos and YouTube videos more so than ever before. So it's been a real pleasure working with the local businesses and the community on producing these videos. Some are longer than others, but this one celebrates Women's History Month. All right, let's try this.
Make sure you want to share screen. Hold on.
That one.
And then go into your audio. And then microphone. Let's do. Oh.
This one.
Yep. Maybe try that.
All right. Let's try it.
Hey, Bruce, you're the technical guy, huh?
Brought my tech with me. Still not helping. Can you hear that?
No.
Is there any audio on the video?
There's a
Can you
video.
hear it?
We can see it, and it's making me hungry.
Because they'll come in tentatively and ask, you know, what's gluten-free. And
So
it's just exciting to say.
We're going to stop sharing. What we'll do is we've got our own YouTube channel, and I apologize. We thought that we had this down. Obviously working through Zoom as well as Google and other platforms, and now WebEx. But as I said before, we have all the information we'll present to you. We work very closely with the city, AEDC, the chamber, to share our information. We also produce our annual guide, which is about 175,000 visitor guides to the local residents, as well as all the groups that come to the Gaylord promoting our destination. Do you want to add anything?
Yeah, and there was a question earlier about a cohesive message and branding, and I think it's really important to note that each of us specializes in an audience, and so I think at the core of each of these branding processes, who Aurora is, and that is, you know, the diversity, the innovation, the things and changes that are happening in the community, and not only that, but being a welcoming and inclusive city is what is selling the destination. Each of us kind of alters the message, and you may see different campaign taglines and things like that. But I think that's really speaks to the specialization of each of these independent organizations in knowing, you know, what developers are interested in, what the business community resonates with them, and for us, the visitor perception and experience. And I think when they arrive into our city, those same messages are true across the board. And I think we've done a really good job of keeping that underlying current among all the organizations.
And Bruce, would it be okay for me to put the links to those videos in the chat in case anybody wants to peruse on their own?
Absolutely, that's a great idea. So thank you, Janine. We're also more than happy to sit down and and expand and discuss further marketing that we are involved and engaged with. And again, we work very closely. We meet with, we have a meeting with the pros department today. We meet often with our board of directors and engaging with all of them to tell the story of our progress and what we're doing on the marketing side to promote our destination. And we're very proud of the content that we create. And obviously the public is very, very open to either suggestive ideas or criticism in any way, matter, or form when it comes to marketing. And I think that we do get good responses. Our marketing and our social presence has grown larger than it ever has been with Visit Aurora since I've been here, since the organization has started. And again, as I mentioned, video is a big part of that.
Yeah, and I just to piggyback off of that, we set our annual benchmarks at the beginning of the year, and all of those were surpassed by July. And I think that really has to do with the shift that we've taken in terms of telling the stories of the community is really resonating with people, and they are looking for the beaten path gems and businesses that Aurora has to offer.
And but I would say in marketing as a whole, our primary focus is still to generate business opportunities for our hotels through meetings and conventions and events that bring visitors to town, spend money, and then go home. And we have very good relationships with the Gaylord in all of our hotels, but then also to different parts of Aurora, Southlands, the Havana Business District, Center City, and the town center in Aurora. And we try to divide up as much opportunity and presence in our marketing efforts to represent all the different areas of Aurora and not just one specific area.
Oh,
I think that's all we have. So I apologize about the video, but it looks like Janine was able to put a lot of different links. So if you don't have anything to do for the next, 45 minutes to an hour, just go onto our social, our YouTube channel, and we have a lot of great contents with a lot of great stories from people that really love our destination, and we love sharing those stories with all of you.
great. Thank you. Is that it, Janine, from the marketing update?
That is it, council member.
Okay.
Thank you.
Councilmember Lawson, do you have any questions? I know we already asked Kim, but obviously we had AEDC and Visit Aurora.
So is Yuri on? Yuri?
I'm still here.
Oh, I just had a quick question for you. So I know that you talked about a lot of the good things, and I know you guys going to be doing your website. You're going to kind of be revamping your logo. Is ADC going to be creating some content like videos and things like that as well? And
Great
other
question.
marketing material too
I'm not
for your own
sure.
organization to kind of show your story?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I am not the marketing director, so I'll get back to you on that.
And just another question, Councilmember Bergan. I know we're all about selling and marketing. And do you ever get questions, and maybe not everybody has to give me the answer, but from businesses about some of the challenges we have? I know we're selling and we're trying to sell our city, but we have some realities here too. And I wanted to know, are you prepared to answer questions like that? Because I think that's part of Aurora's story as well. As we're growing, people are dealing with transportation. We put a business out in Southeast Aurora or out in the Ward 2, for example, a manufacturing, and some people can't even get there because we don't have a transportation system that's linking great. Do you guys, and that's just one example, but do you guys get questions about that? I know it's about selling, I know it's about marketing, but we also have realities as well as a city.
I can jump in, Councilmember Lawson. We actually just had a lot of feedback following the launch of our rebrand. You may have seen some articles in the media as well, and we absolutely get those comments. And I think an important part of our new positioning is to be unapologetic. There's nothing that we can go back and rewrite history for the things that have happened. It's unfortunate that some people still dwell on, the tragedies that happen in a community. I think for us, our positioning, it's really important that without these key players in the community driving a news story forward, those lingering perceptions remain. So I think the work that we're doing is very important, whether it's through one-on-one business meetings, whether it's through advertising or PR. We're constantly working with the press and media. We really thank you, Kim, and your team's support yesterday for correcting some inaccuracies in an article that was released. And so we are looking out for each other to make sure that the correct information is being set forward to the public and the community. And we're not just standing by and taking, criticisms or incorrect perceptions about our community.
And then I have a few questions. So first, Yuri, for AEDC, I kind of wish, because there is that, there is the current website with AEDC. So I guess folks can go ahead and what's the link?
Yeah, I'm happy to put it in there, auroraedc.com. And
Yeah.
it's go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I know you're working on redoing it, but even as it currently is, it has a lot of good information as well.
Yeah, thanks. We think so too, and we're really excited about it when it launched. I can't remember how many years ago, but it's been a few. And yeah, it has some great information on there, and it was really about storytelling and getting different kind of messaging out. And I think exactly to what Randy just said, right, being unapologetic and claiming who we are and where we're going versus talking about everything that where we've been. And I think a lot of that played in on what Kim's department has created as well, in terms of we're booming, we're innovative, all of those key messaging points. I think we tried to incorporate a lot of those, hopefully well. And I think we're happy with it. I think we get hundreds, if not thousands of hits, a month on it, which for an economic development firm is, I think, pretty decent. So we're happy with it and just trying to do more.
You highlight the different businesses, right, on there, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, we highlight more industries, but we've definitely put in a couple of those stories about the Karchers of the world and those folks.
Okay, and then for Bruce on Visit Aurora, I know you always do great video production and everything. Question just on how you market us outside of Aurora. Do you target specific cities? How do you do that?
Well, on the group side, we definitely know where our business is coming from through the convention sales department. We target specific types of business that come at certain times, pay a certain amount of dollars to meet in our destination. We have a lot of technology and resources to be able to provide our sales team with that information. So it's a targeted, focused effort on the sales team to go out and find new business opportunities. We also work with the sales departments of each one of the hotels to get an understanding of what their peak and valley seasons are, to try to place business in those specific times. Our hotels are doing very well. As a destination, we run over 72% annually, which is really 70% occupancy really hits kind of a standard line of success. When I was in the Dallas metro area, their hotels run 62, 63%. The Denver International Airport is such an economic driver of business. Our airport hotels, as well as the hotels along Tower Road, run over 80%. So we have the largest economic generator in the state that really helps us drive group business. But in our marketing plan, we like ICSC, we go out to our industry trade events, which have meeting planners and event organizers that we really target to get to know us, to showcase the city. And in this business,
do you specifically market? I mean, I know you do the different conferences and so forth, but do you specifically, I guess, get that? I don't know if it's through social media or through publications, but you do target specific areas,
yes.
country.
Yeah, we have certain marketing that we specifically target for group business, and that's actually the largest percentage of the marketing that we do as an organization. And you attended one of our fam trips, which was at the reservoir. All of
Yep.
those people are the people that we're targeting to bring group business with our marketing and advertising.
And one really great feature that we just launched this year has been really successful. So we have a geolocation application. So we can target and say, we know that there's a really large concentration of medical meeting planners meeting in DC this week. And so we can fence an area where we know that they'll be attending, and we can put in front of them mobile messaging in order to bring them back and say there's opportunities here in Aurora. And it's actually an interactive takeover on your phone. And so if you'd ever like to see a sample of that, we can provide really the new launch next week.
Okay, great. Thank you. And when you mentioned room nights, so obviously you said we're doing really great in that perspective. Do you track that in comparison to where you were with your marketing budget to, where if room nights have increased in correlation to your marketing efforts?
Yes, we do. We have a lot of analytics. We have a lot of analytics that determines why or how we market in specific areas, and that's on the group side as well as as what is it, the leisure side.
Okay, great. All right. Well, thank you, everyone.
Councilmember Bergan, can I just?
Go ahead, Councilmember Lawson.
I just want to clarify something, because I think my comment or my question was taken out a little bit out of context. I was not talking about news stories. I know we're unapologetic, whatever. What I was talking about is if we get challenges based on our growth. And I know, sometimes we've had industries that have said our people cannot get to a business. So sometimes that might be more innovation on our side. I think my comment was taken out of context. I was not talking about news stories. I was talking about challenges that we have maybe in the growth area. And so I just want to make a clarification on that. So thank you, Councilmember Bergan, for letting me make that clear.
Thank you. Again, thank you to all the presenters on the marketing. Good work, and look forward to what you're going to be doing in the future in the new year.
I texted Naomi just really quickly, and she apologizes for having to miss this.
Yeah,
she's out in Florida, so.
Yeah, sorry. And yeah, we've got Steve in Mexico and Chance in Florida. Thanks, everyone. Next is the Aurora Business Outreach Report by Elena.
Good morning, council members. Crystal, can you help me with my PowerPoint, please? Great. Can you see the PowerPoint? Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you for this opportunity, and I'm going to share with you our outreach efforts to the small businesses in Aurora. And next slide, please. As you know, the Small Business Development Center offers one-on-one free business consulting. Sorry, I'm having a little problems with my screen. So we offer one-on-one free business consulting, confidential one-on-ones, low-cost educational webinars and events, and referrals to a variety of resources. Our services are offered both in English and Spanish. To bring these services to more Aurora business owners and entrepreneurs, we have expanded our outreach efforts and partnerships. Next slide, please. From January through October of 2023, we had a total of 1,323 Aurora clients who received our various services. Of the total who reported their race, approximately 64% were minority clients. I want to mention that we have many clients who choose not to respond to the questions about race in our surveys. Next slide, please. In this same period, the businesses that we serve created 30 jobs, retained 17 jobs, accessed capital in the amount of $1.5 million, increased their sales by $3.6 million, and they also obtained government or private contracts for $760,000. Next slide, please. The business services team has expanded its outreach efforts to educate and provide business support to small businesses owners in various communities. We have worked with communities such as the Ethiopian, Nepalese, Salvadorian, Peruvian, and Mexican communities. Among other activities, leaders in these communities invite us to share about our programs at their cultural and educational events. We have also strengthened our relationships with community organizations that work with small businesses, such as the Center for Community Wealth Building, Adelante Community Development, and United for Business. We also partner with other business support organizations such as the African Chamber, Hispanic Chamber, and the Havana BID. We work very closely with SES Financial for financing options for clients, especially that have low credit or no credit score. Our partnerships include participating in resource fairs, offering training and consulting to their clients, as well as promotion of workshops and events, and participating as guest speakers. I also want to share that we have been invited to a couple of well-known Spanish-speaking radio stations and Facebook online events as guest speakers and subject matter experts to talk about how we help small businesses and how to work with the City of Aurora. Next slide, please. Other outreach efforts include participating in some local and internal boards. We use these venues to educate people about the needs of small businesses, the resources offered by SBDC in the city. As part of the Pickens Technical College Advisory Board, we're currently working on a program where the college will offer free classes for small business owners in the areas of web design, marketing, SafeServe certifications for food-related businesses. We are also referring clients to their creative lab, where students help our clients with branding, logo design, marketing at a very low cost. They offer the services in various languages. Business Services actively participates on the Committee for Global Fest, an event spearheaded by the Office of International and Immigrant Affairs. The business team helps recruit small businesses to participate as vendors. We make sure that the business owners are compliant with sales tax, licenses, and insurance. Approximately 50% of the vendors are SBDC clients. During the event, we reach out to all the vendors and offer our services. Business owners are very responsive, and many have made appointments with us already. The Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, the Center for Community Wealth Building, and the business team join efforts to put together a lunch and learn for City of Aurora employees to talk about how we can use discretionary spending in our departments to impact our local economy and benefit our small and medium-sized businesses. We talked about the importance of shopping locally and provided tools and examples. We had a great response, and we will be having a follow-up meeting in the first quarter of 2024 to see how we can advance this initiative. And the event was catered by an Aurora business and SBDC client. Next slide, please. We have also been involved in several initiatives that are positively impacting the small businesses in Aurora. For example, Shop BIPOC is a free online marketplace for BIPOC small businesses, where the community, other businesses, and anchor institutions can purchase goods and services and help these business owners expand their markets. We currently have over 400 small businesses registered on the website that offer services in areas such as food and beverage, professional services, health and wellness, and construction. The marketplace also includes anchor institutions such as the University of Colorado and CSU Spur, among others. These institutions can look for and connect with vendors very easily through the marketplace. This is a collaborative effort from various business support organizations in the metro area, including the Aurora South Metro SBDC. We hosted the launching event at the People's Building on August of 2023, and we had over 200 people attend the event. Next slide, please. Another initiative that we have been supporting is the Anschutz Medical Campus Supplier Diversity Program. This program aims to connect local businesses in North Aurora and Northeast Denver with the different departments at the CU Anschutz Medical Campus. CU wants to establish and maintain strong relationships with local businesses that can meet some of the university's needs for goods and services. The initiative was created in partnership with the SBDC on Havana Street and the Center for Community Wealth Building and the University of Colorado System Procurement Center. Excuse me. It started with local caterers and restaurants. This list is expanding to include now printing and maintenance services. We continue to support the recruitment of new Aurora businesses. Next slide. Many institutions have expressed their commitment to shifting their food purchasing away from corporate caterers and restaurants to locally owned food businesses. We are helping these institutions learn how to be more small business friendly and at the same time help food vendors understand what it takes to successfully meet the needs of these large institutions. The Eat Local tasting event is the culmination of a 4-part training series for caterers to prepare them to work with large educational, health, and governmental institutions. The most recent event was held at the National Western Center, and approximately 200 people came to taste great food and to get to know our caterers. In the past, these events have brought many new clients and contracts to our Aurora caterers. Next slide, please. I want to finish this presentation with a success story that shows the impact there are outreach efforts and services we provide. Erica Rojas, owner of Prados Catering, came to the SBDC after attending an event we put together with several business partners. She started her business in 2017, and we helped her with her first steps as a business owner. She bought her food truck in 2019. Among other things, we helped her with licensing, taxes, and permits. In 2023, she opened a small restaurant that is located in South Parker Road. We continue to work with her in her finances, marketing, and management. Erica is very involved in the community. She has participated in Global Fest. She has catered several events in the city, including the Lunch and Learn and Shop BIPOC at the People's Building. Next slide, please. Erica has received 20 hours of support through consulting at the SBDC. She has also taken many of our classes and has participated in various events. During the pandemic, we helped her with the different grant programs. We have also connected her with different lenders for funding for her food truck as well as her new restaurant. Next slide, please. As far as the financial impact is concerned, Erica received $20,000 in pandemic assistance. She has invested $50,000 in her new restaurant, and she has seen an increased revenue of $70,000 this year. This year also, her business has created 1 job and has retained 1 full-time and 3 part-time jobs. Bottom line, the goal of our outreach efforts is to create awareness and educate the small business owners like Erica about the resources the city and the SBDC offer. And through our business program, help them become successful business owners. Thank you very much. Any questions?
Thank you for the presentation. Any questions, Councilmember Lawson?
No, I have none, but it's just all the outreach that you're doing, it's a fantastic job. So thank you so much for the presentation.
Thank you, council members.
Thank you, Elena. And we've got HOA registration. I know we're running late. Apologize for that, but we are not having a meeting in December. I know we had to put a lot into this meeting. So we have the HOA registration and then followed by the Planning Commission quick update as well.
Janine Rustad, Director of Planning and Development Services on the HOA. I'll be very brief. We are working with the upgrades in Amanda It should be sometime in 2024. Unfortunately, we had some security measures that needed to be addressed first. Those took priority. But we should see the ability to get those 2 points of contacts and the notices going out every 6 months in 2024, and we'll bring you an update next year on that.
Yay, good news. I know it's been a challenge with changing back over on the software system, so appreciate that. Thank you. And then now we have Becky Hogan.
Great, thank you so very much. I am joined by our Planning Commission Chair, Garrett Walls, as well as several of our planning commissioners. So thank you very much for the opportunity. In third quarter of 2023, we presented an update to planning or to PED. And the overall outcome of that report was that we are following, as planning commissioners, pretty much in lockstep with City Council, which is important in terms of consistency through our development process. We have requested of City Council a meeting with you to just find out what's on the horizon, what things are important to you as City Council members as we look at 2024. So our request to you via PED is that you will help us champion this with other City Council members, to have that discussion, to look forward to what you guys want to see in the coming year, as it does affect some of the outcomes, some of our perspectives in again, providing that consistency for our development community as well as our residents here in Aurora. Garrett or other planning commissioners, if you would like to chime in, please feel free.
Yeah, thank you, Becky. I'll chime in. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, council members. I just wanted to add, in addition to what Becky said, I think it's incredibly valuable for the planning commissioners to be able to have sort of a study session, if you will, or a get together, a meeting of the minds, and have the opportunity to be with our policymakers. It's really invaluable for us to understand that as planning commissioners, we're not just looking at problems or applications of today. We're thinking about problems, applications, and the future of Aurora as well. And not just tomorrow's future, but the future 20 years from now or the future 40 years from now. And it's incredibly valuable for us to have the opportunity to discuss with the body and the individuals and the people that are actually appointed to create our policy. So I just wanted to advocate for the opportunity and would appreciate both of your support if you're willing to help us champion and kind of put together this meeting to benefit both bodies, I think.
Great.
So, thank you.
Any other planning commissioners that want to chime in? Well, I thank you both. I think that it would be valuable. As you know, over the years, since the comprehensive plan was done, we've had a number of UDO changes, and it's a little bit confusing, not only probably for planning commissioners, but also for city council members as well. Just trying to stay up to date on those, not only for us, but even the development community as well. So we've had to really do a lot of tweaks to that. And I think it will be valuable for us to get together and certainly look at, like you said, the future and anything that we might be anticipating or we should be anticipating. So I definitely appreciate that and would encourage us to go ahead and schedule one sometime in the first quarter of next year, possibly after the council does a workshop. I'm hoping we have a strategic planning workshop. I've been trying to get one. I was advocating for it this past year and it didn't happen, but I think we'll probably be on course to have that in hopefully in January or so, and then maybe follow from that, then follow with a study session to include the planning commissioners. Councilmember Lawson.
Oh, I agree. I think it would definitely be something we would need to do. So I would support a study session for sure. And maybe in addition, between the workshop, we could actually kind of look at what we're seeing as each counselor from an at-large perspective and also a ward perspective. I think that that'll be kind of important, and maybe try to see if we can get that information over to the planning commission. I don't know how we would organize it, but I definitely agree with the study session. So I didn't mean to put more into it.
Okay, sounds good. And Janine, we can work on that coordination probably to follow the workshop.
I will defer to our city manager, Jason, to help. Because we've expressed our concern. We need to keep in mind that anything from planning and zoning gets appealed to council. So per advice of legal counsel, there are potential conflicts in doing this.
Okay, and conflicts in having just a broad discussion on.
We will need to tread carefully because you are the appeal body for planning and zoning.
Right. Right. Yeah, I understand that, but I think if we're looking at, you know, our zoning and our comprehensive plan, would that be?
And I think with staff's help, because we are working on a work plan, as you know, we get many requests for UDO amendments, whether it's other departments, developers, the community. So we are working on prioritizing a list, which we plan to take to the Planning and Zoning Commission first. And then to you as our policy, get their advice and input. So maybe we can somehow frame it around our work plan for 2024.
Okay, real good. All right, well, thank you so much. Do you want to add anything, planning commissioners?
Thank you very much for the consideration. As Janine had said, we're not looking to put city council in any kind of conflict, or our development community or residents for that matter. It's simply a matter of discussing overall policy and goals and objectives. So we will be mindful and certainly considerate of that concern. But I think that we can tread lightly and accomplish overall communication.
Very good. All right. Thank you again. And any other reports? I'm not seeing any on in my backup. So with that, I think we are officially done with 2023 for the Planning and Economic Development Committee. We have actually a tentative schedule for January 10th for next year. So we will see. We obviously at this time vote for the new mayor pro tem, and that mayor pro tem then makes committee selections. So crossing my fingers that I will see you guys in 2024. And have a wonderful holiday season.
Everybody.
All right. Great job.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Councilmember Bergan, for all your
Thank
good
you.
work.
Thank you.
Appreciate everyone. Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.